Hey there, everyone. Welcome to PTBN from the Vault. My name is David Hall. I am the Down Under Thunder. You might recognize the accent, everyone, and it is my pleasure to welcome you to this newest episode of the this very new podcast series, PTBN from the Vault. If you didn't listen to the debut episode a few weeks ago, the concept is really simple. Each episode of PTBN from the Vault will see the host or hosts live watching matches or events that you can find on the WWE's latest YouTube ventures. The WWE has launched a series of YouTube channels, not just their main channel, but there's an NXT channel, a WCW channel, and a WWE Vault channel. And so, what we're going to do today, as WrestleMania is approaching and WrestleMania season is here, I'm going to just take the opportunity to watch two matches that you can find on the WWE Vault channel for YouTube. And those matches are Yokozuna versus Bret Hart from WrestleMania 10 for the WWF title, and from WrestleMania 19, Shawn Michaels versus Chris Jericho. Um, some great matches. The WrestleMania 19 one probably stole the show that night. The WrestleMania 10 one, hey, don't know that it stole the show when you're talking about a card that's also got Bret Hart versus Owen Hart, possibly the best or second greatest WrestleMania opener of all time. And also the match that really stole the show, Shawn Michaels Razor Ramon ladder match. So look, this match is still going to be good and fun. So I encourage you to watch along with me. If you've got YouTube open up, you get yourself ready to go. Yokozuna versus Bret Hart from WrestleMania 10. We're going to count it down in three, two, one, go. And so Madison Square Garden hosting WrestleMania 10, having gone all the way back to where it started. And the clip is starting off with the introduction of our very special guests. Jenny Garth from Beverly Hills 90210 coming out along with Burt Reynolds. Interestingly enough, we see after Jenny and Burt Reynolds start walking down the aisle, Pat Patterson quickly rushes to Jenny Garth's side to protect her from the audience and the crowd. Jenny she doesn't really look like she wants to be there. She's got a smile plastered on her face, but she doesn't really look like she wants to be there at all. I think she's just earning a paycheck. What am I doing? Do I have to be at the wrestling? Oh, I don't really care. Burt Reynolds is soaking it up, slapping fans' hands, really looks like he's happy to be there. And I'm pretty certain it's not the first time Burt Reynolds had been involved with a WrestleMania, and certainly not the first time he'd been involved with WWE. So, you can see it on his face. I think he was a fan. He seemed to enjoy himself. He even tells the crowd that he's happier to be there than they are. And it's a fun line, but he's got a great smile on his face. Of course, he's reading from the cue cards. And you know, Burt Reynolds is laying the scene. As we start this off, good chance to remember that both competitors in this match had wrestled earlier in the night. Yokozuna had defended the title successfully against Lex Luger in, not the greatest of matches, but it certainly could have been worse. And Bret had, as I mentioned before, wrestled his brother Owen. Now, interestingly, Yoko has not had a lot of rest between the two as we welcome our guest referee, Rowdy Roddy Piper. Hot Rod comes out and he looks happy to be back. Boy, does he look happy. Gets himself in the ring with quick flair and soaking in the adulation of the fan. Great smile. He looks in really good condition too. Looks really, really excited. He's got a new No Fear t-shirt on, and he's got his patented leather jacket. Of course, famously, Roddy Piper was given a leather jacket by Adrian Adonis when Adonis changed his gimmick from the New York Thug to the Adorable One. And on an episode of Piper's Pit in early '86, actually gave his leather jacket to Roddy Piper. And Roddy said on interviews how he kept the jacket. Legitimately, it was a gift. And after Adonis had passed away in '88, he continued to wear it. I wonder if this is the same jacket. I'm not exactly certain, but Roddy is he's really happy, really glad to be there. He's got his black jeans on. He's not doesn't have the silly jumpsuit that Mr. Perfect had on earlier in the night. But yeah, and here we go. The music starts for our champion, Yokozuna. 568 pounds. Boy, he's a big boy. Yokozuna had I actually quite enjoyed his title reign. He had a great 12-month run. Not quite 12-month reign. Obviously, the Hogan incident happened between WrestleMania 9 and King of the Ring, but really, Yoko had been at the top of the card for 12 months, and he's a big boy. Sadly, I wish they'd really acknowledged the fact that he was from the Anoa'i family and the connections he had. I'm glad they do now in the current world. They acknowledge Yokozuna's connection to the family, but back then they were playing up the Japanese gimmick. Fuji's out there with him, and as Yoko enters the ring, gee, that camera angle's not good, looking right up at his great big butt. Interestingly, conspicuous by his absence on that initial part of the entry was Jim Cornette, but you see that he's sort of slipped in behind and he has entered the ring. The geisha girls give Yoko the flowers that he doesn't want anything to do with. But we're ready and we're waiting for the challenger. Bret the Hitman Hart coming out for his second match of the night as well. Jesse Ventura would be furious if he was commentating this event, talking about how the champion should always come out second. And here comes the Hitman. Burt Reynolds saying that he believes the Hitman is one of the greatest athletes in the world today. But Hitman coming out with that limp, and that's playing up with that knee injury from earlier. And Yoko straight on the attack. And Bret Hart hadn't even gotten in the ring as Yoko was straight onto the assault. And that's the massive size of Yoko really made him formidable. But his movement and athleticism in the ring was just outstanding for a man of his size. Bret starts to fight back here, laying some blows to the head of Yokozuna. And I guess if we look back, we can compare that this match at WrestleMania 9, when that match occurred, there was this feeling that Yokozuna was unbeatable and Hart nearly beat him. So now we've got this feeling that Bret is a genuine shot here to win this match. I find it interesting that they didn't really play up that story that this was Bret's rematch, that he never really got the rematch from Yokozuna. And yeah, Lawler saying that Yokozuna destroyed Bret Hart the previous year, and Vince sort of saying it was because of the salt. But yeah, they really played up the rematch element. And I love the Bret Owens storyline in the build-up to WrestleMania 10, and I never want to lose that match from the history. But it would have been so much better for this match if Bret and Yokozuna had played up a little bit the history that they had, talking about how they met at WrestleMania 9, how Yoko had been the champion for 12 months, how Bret had never got that rematch, and the circle was complete. He was coming back. That Yoko had won the Royal Rumble last year. Bret had won it this year. And I think that storyline, that full circle storyline would have been a really great element they could have added in the build up to the match. But the build was more focused on the fact that there were the two matches, that Bret was going to face Owen first and Yoko was going to face Lex first. And so we didn't even know who Bret was going to face, as Yoko actually gave Bret a little bit of a bite there across the nose, and Piper's in his face big time. He's threatening to disqualify him, but I think we know Piper knows better than that. I don't think he would actually disqualify Yokozuna in this thing, as Yoko is choking Bret on the ropes, and Piper's in there again, giving him the warning. a very vicious start by Yokozuna. We haven't normally seen him this brutal at the start of a match. Um, Cornette has an interesting outfit on. His jacket's actually very similar to the Bret Hart jacket, the Sergeant Pepper type shoulder pads on the jacket makes it very similar to what Bret wears when he comes to the ring. Of course, Bret didn't wear it to the ring for this match because he worn it at the beginning of the night. And Piper laying the double count on it. It's a very, very quick count. And Yokozuna gets to his feet first as Bret's sort of pulling himself up on the ropes. Bret tries battling back again. And, it really, with the size of Yoko, Bret really can't utilize a lot of his skills. And Bret goes for the headbutt and reels away, grabbing his own head. But Yoko still drops a beautiful delayed drop there, just sort of reeling, falls on his ass big time. It's a nice little move. But no, I was saying Bret can't really utilize his scientific maneuvers here, his wrestling skills. He's got to rely a little bit more on the brawl as he rams Yoko's head into the mat. I guess that's the thing, that Yoko never played the Samoan stereotype of the hard head that his dad, his uncle, Arthur and Sika had done, and as the sort of the head shrinkers, Fatu and Samu had always played up. He played up that he sort of played the gimmick more straight, that he was more, like I said, more Japanese and the sumo gimmick. Bret battling out of the corner again, and every time he gets a little bit of ascendancy, Yoko gets a shot in that stops Bret and slows him down. Bret ducks a clothesline and just comes off with another couple of punches. I would have liked to have seen him maybe come off with a crossbody or a Luthez press or something there, but really is putting a lot of power, a lot of effort into those shots. And Yoko's off his feet again, and Yoko's down 2 or 3 times in this match, which really shows. Oh, and Piper goes for the pin, and Cornette pulls him out. And Piper lays a shot on Cornette and says, "Let's keep going." He's not going to call the DQ. It's clear now that Piper wants him to fight. He wants him to come to a finish. And that's I like that, Cornette just selling it beautifully, like out on the floor, unconscious nearly, and really good little moment there as Piper just, Cornette getting involved, but Piper saying we're not going to take any of that. Yokozuna drops a headbutt to the back of Bret Hart's head. He's such an agile man, and now he's got goes through a bit of a face claw and rake of the face, and it's almost like Yoko feels he's not quite sure what to do here as he chokes Bret for a minute. Lawler's having a bit of a go at the refereeing choices of Roddy Piper as Piper gets in Yoko's face again, warning him what's going to happen. But then he says, "No, I want you two to fight. Keep fighting us." And there's that massive leg drop from Yokozuna. That is one awesome maneuver. And Bret's selling it so well, but that was brutal. A man of his size, it is just a brutal, brutal move. And I wouldn't want to be the person sitting underneath that leg drop. But you can really see that Yoko's just a little bit slower to his feet than normal, most likely because this is his second match. And he's, the amount of weight that he carries, it would have a big impact on his stamina, on his aerobic ability. So Yoko wanting Bret to get up, calling him to get to his feet, and then dropping a kick into the back of the spine and lower neck area. And Yoko this time sends Bret over the top rope and out to the floor, and Piper in his face saying, get back, so I can count Bret out. And it's a very, very quick count from Piper. He's consistent, but it's very quick, and Bret sort of realizes what's going on and gets himself back in at the count of 9. I like Piper as the troubleshooting ref, but I really wish he would just slow that count down just a little bit. give the guys a little bit more time to recover on the outside. And Yoko is, yeah, he's sort of just squashing Bret in the corner here. And as I said before, it really feels like Yokozuna seems a bit out of his element. He's not wrestling his normal game plan. We're not seeing the normal type of match that Yokozuna um, falls upon. He's normally utilizing his girth and chops and squashes as he backs up now for the running avalanche. Across the ring he comes. And Bret nicely out of the way. And Bret quickly to the second rope with a beautiful bulldog move they used at WrestleMania 9 to set up the sharpshooter. But here he rolls him over as Piper jumps for a two, and a near three count. That was a great kick out by Yokozuna. A beautiful near falls, really got the crowd on their feet, really invested. Now Bret comes off the ropes with his patented elbow across the jaw, and he gets another near two count, another near fall there. And Bret really just gaining a little bit of momentum. Yoko, yeah, slow to his feet as Bret, laying in some shots there. And there's the running clothesline, a variant of his heart attack finisher that he used with the anvil back in the Heart Foundation days. But Bret struggling to get the pin here. He crawls over. One, two, and now Yoko rolls the shoulder again. And Jim Cornette on the outside just grabbing at his face, saying, "Oh, thank you that has been a kick out." So, and then for some reason, Bret starts clutching at his knee again. Yeah, the interesting thing in this time period is almost every match Bret was selling a knee injury and making himself look vulnerable with this knee injury. And it's a shame that it sort of was a bit overdone that he did it over and over again. And now there's a nice move. Bret came off the ropes and Yoko catches him and turns it into a belly-to-belly suplex. That's a beautiful move. And Yoko is signaling that he is going to go for the bonsai drop. And Yoko, this move had become such a dominating move over the past 12 months. He put several guys out of commission with it. And Yokozuna just really knew how to milk the build to this move. And the crowd are all, rolled up as he takes his time and gets himself up onto the second rope, really pulling for it. But he loses his balance. Now, that is it's an interesting situation that we see. Yoko has lost his balance as Bret rolls him up, grabs the leg, and gets the three count. And that's a little bit of a lame finisher in my mind. Yokozuna had gone to the ropes. We'd never seen that before. He never lost his balance before. And yet he sort of raised his arm to say, "I'm about to finish the match." Lost his balance backwards, falls backwards off the ropes, and Bret grabs the leg and gets the pin. It's almost like Yoko beat himself. Now, Bret Hart, the scientific wrestler, the man who just took advantage of the opportunity that confronted him. That was a very, very opportunistic victory and seizing the moment by Bret. But you look back at that match and Bret didn't look super strong in the win. He's got a clean three count, but it would have been nicer if perhaps that three count came after the bulldog maybe had been landed, as it might have been a little bit more. At least then Bret had used an offensive move to get the victory. But Bret Hart has won the title, and the WWF, Vince takes the opportunity now, as we know, we've seen it before, really lavishing the praise upon Bret, talking about how great he is and what a great wrestler he is. But yet, the win itself wasn't that dominant. It wasn't that strong. It's just almost like he fluked and lucked into it. But as we see there, Bret stands up, holds the title aloft, showing the crowd the the great the belt strapping is going to strap it on. But Lex Luger has run out to the ring. The man who had lost to Yokozuna earlier in the night. And Luger with that look on his face of you've done what I couldn't do, and I'm really disappointed for myself. And yeah, he throws the hand out handshake like, congratulations, you did it. You did it. He raises his hand as Piper comes back in and raises his hand. And so now we're going to honor the champion and we see Tatanka jogging out to the ring. So this is sort of the crowning moment. We're going to honor Bret. We're going to raise him up as the leader, as the champion. This is a great moment. Burt Reynolds comes in and hugs him and congratulates him. But like I said before, it would have been better if we could have seen a stronger victory there. So Bret Hart, the new WWE champion at WrestleMania 10, and he's the man of the moment, the new champion. All the celebrities coming out, Macho Man comes out, everyone wants to congratulate Bret and honor him. And it really is a moment where they're putting Bret out as the leader of the company, as the face of the company now. And it's a big moment. It would have been nicer if he'd had a more dominant or a more prominent role in getting the victory as they raise him up on his shoulders. And we might stop the match there. I encourage you. We can stop it there, and that's been an interesting watch. And yeah, looking back on it, I just feel that the match is very one-dimensional. It's just a lot of punches and kicks, the occasional offensive move. Yokozuna looked like he was struggling all match to get back to his feet and get going, and Bret really couldn't draw much out of him that day. And it is what it is, but it's a crowning moment for Bret Hart. So we're going to jump now to our second match in this WWE Vault episode, a classic match from WrestleMania 19, Shawn Michaels versus Chris Jericho, a match that stole the show. So let's get this one going. Count it down. Part 2, 3, 2, 1, go. And as we start the match on the WWE Vault channel, Jericho is going to be coming to the ring first. I always loved Jericho's music. I was a big fan of it from the moment that he arrived in the company in 1999. And Jericho with his little goatee beard and his tied back hair. It's an interesting sort of look he developed here. But Jericho, I've always been a big fan of Jericho. I loved him in WCW as he rose up the ranks there. And this is going to be a great opportunity to look back and see what is. Jericho just has been a man who's been able to keep going, and he's got a lot under his belt now. He's still going in AEW. I personally don't really watch AEW, but he has a lot. He's still going, whether he's still going in the same way he used to, but the man has reinvented himself over time and, constantly made little subtle changes to his gimmick as he comes to the ring with, his blue tights and his blue jacket. And really, really sort of soaking in the atmosphere. He has a very arrogant persona here, really sort of been very dismissive of the crowd and sort of soaking in the moment. And you just know that Jericho would have been pumped to really go in this match. I've heard interviews where he said that really was very eager to put on an absolute classic. Now, Shawn is now on his way to the ring. Shawn with his his post-return outfit, the chaps that don't that don't really come off as the same way. The not the vest per se, but I'm not sure what you describe it, the vest that he wears, but Shawn always the showman as he enters, makes his way to the ring. And I don't remember this little pop gun. That reminds me a lot of Johnny B. Bad. I don't know when. I don't even remember that he used this bloody pop gun shooting confetti over maybe two rows of fans and basically just over the ramp, the entryway this come on. And there's a third one which doesn't want to work. It's yeah, it didn't work, so he just has to drop it. And that's it. I feel it's got to be a bit embarrassing when they do something like that. But these confetti guns are just really stupid and just squirting paper over the crowd. I don't get it, don't understand it. There's a nice shot of Jericho just looking at Michaels with disdain. Gee, Jericho could really play in it. This is the second gun hasn't gone off as well. So that's two guns he hasn't been able to get off with the crowd. But now he's sort of saying, let's see if this one will work. And it goes off, and let's shower some more fans with some confetti. But yeah, that's a bit lame. I'm really glad that it wasn't a consistent thing in his gimmick and part of his entry. Shawn's still struggling with that poor shorter hair that was sort of the victim of that haircut he had in late the year before, right before the Hell in a Cell match, not the Hell in a Cell match, sorry, the Elimination Chamber match where he had the Pooh Brown tights and the really bad haircut. He's still recovering, so not quite super long hair, but still, at least it's better than it looks better than it did back then. At least it's sort of out of the way as he ties it back. So Shawn making the big entrance, soaking in the fans' cheers, really looks to be enjoying himself here at Safeco Field, posing again, but just it's just such a massive crowd and the big stadium show. Shawn just great opportunity to be back in the ring. I think that's probably part of the thing for Shawn is it's his first Mania back in the ring since the injury, and I think that's why he's really enjoying this entrance and taking his time and making the most of the opportunity. Probably at this point, he didn't know how many more WrestleManias he might actually have. I know that the back injury had kept him out for a while. He made his comeback and he felt that he could go. But I guess in the back of his mind was, I'm going to make the most of every minute I have because I don't know if I'm ever going to, how many of these I'm going to get, how long the back will last. But, he's out there, he's enjoying it. The back seems healthy. He's ready to go. And Jericho and Shawn Michaels get ready to tear the house down at Safeco Field, WrestleMania 19. Shawn and Jericho just sort of feeling each other out here at the start of the card, start of the match, just as Shawn locks in the headlock and get the headlock takedown into the head scissors, the kick out, sort of the very traditional, wrestler sort of start to the match, just feel each other out. Jim Ross sort of starts talking about how Jericho is obsessed with Shawn Michaels' success and wanting to be like Shawn. And, we've heard Jericho say that. I've heard interviews where Jericho did have Shawn in quite high regards. And for him, this was an opportunity to really put on a performance like what Savage and Steamboat did at WrestleMania 3. So they're really wanting to play up the evenness of the encounter, the commentary team, as Shawn is sort of spinning into the hammerlock here and Jericho reverses it. Shawn not showing a lot of anguish there, a couple of elbows to the head and turns it into a hip toss, but a nice kick out by Jericho. They're really getting a nice little quick pace here to start the match, and the crowd are acknowledging that. Crowd are acknowledging what is going on here. That you can just feel the evenness of this encounter is going to likely lead to some outstanding wrestling. Another headlock takedown by Shawn, and Jericho goes for a couple of head scissors, and Jericho nicely blocks it, but we get roll up, we get sort of rolls Jericho. Jericho rolls Shawn up for a two, that Jericho rolls back over and keeps the headlock locked on. And it's a very old school style start to the match. Very late 80s, early 90s style in the start here. Jericho takes Shawn down and announces he's the king of the world to the crowd. Um, as Oh, that's a nice little stop from Jericho. Shawn went for a leapfrog and Jericho stopped and slapped him, and then Michael slapped him back and sends him out into the ring announcer's table. That was a nice little move, and well done. And Shawn goes for the leapfrog off over the top of the ropes, and Jericho gets out of the way. This is real clever wrestling, and Shawn hits the baseball slide. This is, yeah, a very nice start. Both men showing that they know what each other is bringing to the table from a kayfabe perspective. They know they've scouted each other. They know what to expect, and they're not going to be easily taken in. As Shawn comes off with a crossbody and Jericho rolls through for a nice 2 count. Jericho sends Michaels across with an Irish whip and hits a nice spinning heel kick there. Beautiful move there. And lays a couple of punches from over the top as the ref gets in his face. And I can't tell if the ref is, it might be Charles Robinson, but I'm not exactly certain. If it is, he's had a massive haircut. Um, and I think it is Charles Robinson is our referee, and he's just got the real short hair here. And Jericho lays in a couple of big chops and sends Shawn across the ropes into the turnbuckles and choking him in the corner. So Jericho just starting to gain a little bit of ascendancy as Charles Robinson gets in his face and tells him to stop. Shawn, Jericho went for the bulldog there, and Shawn blocks it and sends Jericho into the turnbuckles. And again, it shows that these guys have scouted each other. They know what they're looking at. As we get a double leg takedown by Shawn, and he's going for a figure four. And this is not a move that Shawn used very often, but it's a nice little opportunity to try and put some damage onto Jericho's legs and maybe force Jericho to remain grounded as he Jericho reverses the move. Now, I don't quite understand. I've never really understood how just rolling over reverses the pressure of the move, but that's been the story of the figure four leg lock for years. And Shawn goes to work on the knee, so a bit of a different game plan from Shawn Michaels here. He's working the leg, which is not his usual style. Very reminiscent of Ric Flair, who we know Shawn has a very close relationship. And Jericho has sent Shawn into the ring post with his shoulder, and he's going to regain the ascendancy in this match. Jericho misses a clothesline and sends Shawn outside the ring, but Shawn skins the cat, and essentially a reverse Hurricane Rana brings Jericho to the floor. And now we get the leapfrog over the top rope and onto Jericho on the ground. What he went for earlier in the match, and Jericho avoided. And this is good storytelling because it shows that they're working it to certain spots. And if it doesn't work the first time, you try and work out how you can do it later in the match. So very good psychology here from both competitors. And that is Michaels went for a drop click on the outside, and Jericho locks in a walls of Jericho on the floor. And this is a really good camera angle because we can see Charles Robinson is counting the both men out of the ring, and Jericho is looking directly at the referee as the count is going. As he gets to 8, Jericho breaks the hold, runs back to the ring, and breaks the count. That's good psychology. We've got good storytelling here in this match. Really impressed with that move. I hadn't noticed that before, but Jericho just kept his eye on the referee. He was watching the count. Doesn't want to lose this match. Jericho just rammed Michaels twice into that ring post on that lower back. And it always worried me when Michaels took shots to his back at this point, having only been back in the ring less than 12 months. He always worried that it wouldn't take much to actually put his back out again in real life, actually really re-injure that back. But Shawn must have been confident with his recovery, must have been confident with the healing that had happened in his back to be able to take shots like that. Shawn milking this count, slowly getting back in the ring. And I love, there's the springboard drop kick off the ropes by Chris Jericho. Another move that I have always enjoyed from Jericho. As this time he rolls out and sends Shawn back inside. So, yeah, you can see very clearly that Jericho doesn't want to just win the match by whatever means necessary. It seems he wants to defeat Shawn by pinning him or making him submit in the ring. He sends him back to the ring to win the match. And he's working that back a little bit more. And now he's standing over Shawn saying, I'm better than you, and slapping him on the head. And really, really good work here. Delayed vertical suplex by Jericho. I'm not sure I'd ever seen him use that move before. It's a very interesting move by Jericho as he gets a 2 count from it. Yeah, both men, just drawing on a couple of new elements to this match. And this is good heel work. Knee in the back, working the body, but you pulling the hair to pull the head back and the head neck back. It's a good move. And again, continuing to work on the back. Jericho drops Shawn with that backbreaker and just keeps working the back. And the come on baby pin. I love that move. If you're listening to this podcast and not actually watching the match with us, Jericho puts his foot on the chest of the fallen Shawn Michaels, does a pose, a flex pose, and says, come on, baby. It was something he did regularly in his WCW run. Hadn't done it so much in the WWF or WWE, but pulls it out here. And I just love that move. The arrogance, the cockiness of the move, as Jericho has a chin lock now locked in. And what's really good here is Shawn isn't sitting in the chin lock too long. They just a few seconds before he starts to make his way to his feet and battle his way back out. Now, these two guys have set a really good pace to the match. Oh, now that's a nice move. Jericho went for a big backdrop and Shawn turned it into a DDT. Looked really good, but being up in the air for a few extra seconds before flipping the DDT on. And Shawn laying prone on the mat as Jericho looks to try and get back to his feet. Just really feel that Shawn's about to nip up, if I know my Shawn Michaels psychology. But no, not going to nip up. He's gonna just sort of ease his way back to his feet here. So now we're trading the punches. What today in the modern era would be the yay boo punch sequence, but there's a nice move by Jericho. Really, now again, this is great psychology. Jericho's jumped off the ropes and hit Shawn with his forearm and then nipped up, very much what Shawn does, and Shawn's nipped up behind him. So Jericho was playing into the Shawn role. He was mocking Shawn. And now Shawn hits the forearm and nips up and gets an inverted atomic drop as both men just continue to lay a frantic pace in this match. Big back body drop by Shawn there. And Shawn drawing on the crowd and really sort of starting to get himself ready. And Jericho runs into a raised foot from Shawn as Shawn goes up and hits a moonsault, beautiful moonsault, directly into the pin for a near fall. I do love that moonsault that Shawn does. Sort of looks through his legs and waits for the moment before flipping back, and it's a great move. And Shawn goes, sort of turns a crucifix into a sunset flip, and now we're reversing pinfalls on each other. A series of counter moves there, and Jericho now flips it out and goes for the lion tamer, or the walls of Jericho, I should say, in WWE. But a nice reversal by Shawn, flips it out, and Shawn, both men trading waist locks and elbows. Oh, nice bridging suplex by Jericho, gets a 2 count. And now we get the bridge out into the backslide move. That is just such a fantastic move. But Jericho blocking the backslide, that's a great counter. They're really pulling out all the stops, these two guys. If you're not watching along, guys, go back, start and watch again. This match is a really good encounter. Jericho and Shawn have just gone at a frantic pace, trading moves, trading ascendancy. Jericho now hits that running bulldog that he loves, which sets up one of my favorite Jericho moves, which is the lion salt. Love that lion salt. Makes his way over for another pin attempt and another near fall. And you know, Jericho. Now, this is what I like to see: a kick out, but when the guy who's kicked out is still on his back, going for another pin attempt, making them work. Don't see it very often, but it is good psychology to have another go. But you know, he's already kicked out once. Oh, big chop by Jericho there. Jericho drops his head and gets kicked in the face. Shawn goes for a hurricanrana and it's blocked for the walls of Jericho. This is beautiful. And this is my issue with the walls of Jericho. I always loved the lion tamer when he would sink the knee into the back. And that hurricanrana block was a perfect setup to put the knee into the back and really nail that move even deeper. But no, he sits into it. I guess the WWE Vince didn't want him using that move here in this company. As Michaels makes his way to the ropes and forces the break. But yeah, I would have preferred to have seen a lion tamer there versus the walls of Jericho. Again, good psychology from Jericho. He goes for another walls of Jericho, and Shawn turns it into an inside cradle for a near fall. See, that makes good wrestling. The move was working. Yes, he got to the rope, so let's put it on again and try and make it harder. We got almost a Pearl River plunge sort of thing. It turned into a backbreaker instead. And Jericho goes up to the top rope. And I think this is the first time Jericho has gone up the rope since this match has started, which shows how good the match has been when Jericho hasn't even really needed to go up to the ropes. A nice back elbow off the top rope puts Shawn out, and Jericho. So again, the psychology in the match. Jericho trying to prove himself better than Shawn, and he's using Shawn's moves, and he's tuning up the band, looking for sweet chin music. And he gets it. He hits the sweet chin music on Shawn Michaels, and the crowd are cheering it. They like what Jericho's been doing. It's great work by Jericho and good storytelling as Shawn kicks out again. Crowd have really been drawn into this match. And yeah, the story of this match has been Jericho trying to prove that he's better than Shawn by doing what Shawn does. The moves that Shawn does, the way he approaches a match, and it's been an outstanding match. And Shawn is just, it feels like Shawn is, he's always not necessarily a step ahead, but he's able to withhold it and get himself back out of it. Nice reversal crossbody off the ropes by Shawn, but instead of going for the pin, he goes for some. He lays in some punches and sort of almost like a bit of anger coming out of Shawn there as we get the yay boo punches with no yay boo from the crowd. And Shawn has taken the double leg takedown. It looks like he's going for a walls of Jericho of his own, almost like. But actually, nice block by Jericho. And so Shawn turns it into a slingshot into the turnbuckle, into the ring post for a very near fall. So, yeah, you got this feeling that Jericho's trying to one-up Shawn. And so Shawn's almost taking it back. If you're trying to be me, I can do you. I can do you better than you can do me. So Jericho now sets Shawn up onto the top rope for what looks like it's going to be some form of back suplex. Jericho goes all the way to the top rope, not even off the second rope. Oh, and Michaels counters it midair and rolls over, and Jericho takes all the brunt. And that is a really, really nice counter. Both men, Shawn gets another near fall. These guys, they just, the pace they've run, this is a real credit to their conditioning. They've really, really worked a frantic pace, and yet they're still going. No rest for the weary in this match as Shawn is going up to the top rope. It looks like he's getting himself set for the elbow. And what a great, great counter by Jericho. He used his foot to drive Charles Robinson into the ropes, and that caused Shawn to lose balance and crotch himself on the top rope. It's very clever wrestling. And now Jericho's got it set up for a superplex from the top rope. And Shawn counters it into a facebuster. So again, out-thinking each other, out-wrestling each other. And Shawn goes and is set up again for that top rope elbow, it looks like. Drops it with a cock of the elbow, and he is ready to put the emphasis on the end of this match. He's getting sweet chin music ready, and he's going to tune up the band now. Yes, Jim Ross talking about how here is the original. Oh, nice duck by Jericho, and he double leg takedown, and he's got the wall. He's got the lion tamer sunk in again. So for the second time in the match, Shawn in the middle of the ring in that lion tamer. That was Jericho. I keep calling it the lion tamer. And Michael's going for the ropes again. Oh, and there's the clever thinking. This time, Jericho walks him back out to the center. And you can hear the crowd are really into this match. There's a real respect for both guys as they cheered Jericho, bringing him back to the middle of the ring. And it shows that the crowd respect both of these guys. But Shawn finally gets to the ropes, and Jericho just holding his head in disbelief, like the frustration really eminent on his face. He's sort of arguing with referee Charles Robinson, saying he tapped out. And of course, Charles saying, no, he didn't. He didn't tap. And, you know, very, very nice work. Oh, and Jericho turns and walks straight into a massive sweet chin music super kick. Shawn out on his feet, though. Well, he's not even on his feet. He's laid out after hitting the kick and crawling over to try and make a cover, which giving Jericho a bit of rest time. Nice kick out by Jericho. This is good storytelling because it took a few seconds for Shawn to be able to make the cover. So while Jericho was kicked out of Shawn's finishing hold, it wasn't an immediate kick out. He had a few seconds to recover. It's like his body had a moment to recover and get some energy to kick out because it took Shawn those extra few seconds to make the cover. as opposed to a lot of modern matches where they hit the finisher straight up, make the cover, and the guy kicks out. You see that 2 or 3 times. Shawn does the flip into the turnbuckle and gets a shot in the back. And yeah, oh, nice. Goes for a victory roll here. Oh, a beautiful victory roll for the win. Again, sort of out of nowhere, but taking advantage of the opportunity. Shawn gets the win. And my goodness, that is a match that holds up. That is a great, great match. Shawn and Jericho have put on a match for the ages. Back and forth action, non-stop pace, trying to one-up each other, using each other's moves, but not in a disrespectful way, but in a way of sort of like, I can do this better than you. I want to prove that I'm better than you. And Shawn, on his return to WrestleMania, gets the win. And it really is a credit to both of these guys, the sort of match they've put on. And now they sort of lock eyes on each other. Jericho in the corner. Shawn they're eyeing each other off. They're almost like an element of respect. Shawn holds his hand out for the handshake. So this is very interesting because it feels very much against the gimmick that Jericho instead gives Shawn a hug. It seems like an element of respect for a minute. And then the low blow. Jericho hits the low blow after the hug. And you really feel there's an element there where for a moment they wanted to go out of character and thank each other for the match. And then at the same time, they stay in character. And Jericho, it's like Shawn's gone, I respect you. You did a great job here. But then Jericho goes, no, I'm not having that, and drops him with the low blow kick to the groin region, and then he rolls out and makes his way to the back. But as I said, that was a absolutely fantastic, fantastic match. So there we go, guys. Two matches very different. One match that just wasn't what I was expecting. Two guys that seemed not two guys, but one guy really seeming to struggle in the match, and Bret doing his best to pull something out of that match and get a win. And then we've got this classic encounter between Shawn and Jericho. That's a match for the ages. That's a good 4 to 5 stars. I could watch it again if I really wanted to. So, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for joining me on this episode of From the Vault. I hope you've enjoyed it. I've never done one of these watch-alongs before, and I know I've probably talked a lot. It's only a one-personer, but I hope you've enjoyed this journey with me. The build to WrestleMania is happening. Great way to start getting ready for WrestleMania, watching those old matches. And I can't wait to see what happens this year at WrestleMania. Well, are we going to get another all-timer? Or are we going to get another match that doesn't quite live up to the expectations it could have? That's really been the story of this episode of From the Vault. Match that didn't quite meet expectations and a match that over-delivered. We could get both at this year's WrestleMania. Who knows? But for now, that's it for this episode. Thanks for joining me for PTBN From the Vault. I am the Down Under Thunder, Dave Hall, saying thank you very much, guys.